the world. Today I call you all welcome in this absolutely gorgeous meeting that I have with Walter Boyd, astrologer, Markus van WESTHUIZEN. Do you say it like this, Markus? Markus
Van de WESTHUIZEN.
Van
de WESTHUIZEN.
Van de WESTHUIZEN.
That's right.
Two lovely, lovely souls that I invited today. They are energy healers, intuitive channels, and they work with light language, light codes, and light technology. That is amazing. Hello, how are you?
Thank you. I'm very well.
Thank you for having us.
Walter, you okay also? Yeah, you there?
Absolutely. Thank you for having us here on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh yeah, you guys call it a show, no? Do you? It's really
Isn't
fun.
it a show?
What do you
I'm
say?
having big dreams. I'm having big dreams for you, Ilsa.
You have big dreams for me. That's fantastic. Yeah, because it's a show. It's so funny when they call it a show. What are you doing and how did you come to do what you're doing today?
Okay. I'm a multimodality natural health practitioner. So I work with physical body, I work with the energy body. My passion really is energy work. So I do massage and shiatsu and things like that, but I really enjoy working energy work. So working in the auric field, working with things like entity removals, attachments, clearing the auric field, chakras and so forth. And I also do light language or speak light language, write and create a light language art. So working with light technology. Yeah, so I think that's just a very, very brief summary, but I've got a very, very long list, extensive list of modalities that I work with. I started when I was about 12. I accidentally stumbled upon crystal healing, and I had a lot of crystals when I was young. And then when I was 12, I found a book on crystal healing, and it just made sense. And then I just studied crystal healing. I had mentors that I worked with, and after school, I went on to learn aura healing, herbalism, continued with the crystal healing, and just through the years, I've been adding on more and more modalities. So I've been practicing, I think in total, probably about 30 years or so, nearly, if not a little bit less than 30 years, just under 30 years. Yeah, so that's me. It's lifelong journey, lifelong experience. Yeah.
Then we talk about your personal experience a little bit later. And you, Walter, how was your journey into?
I think Marcus hit the nail on the head when he actually said it's a lifelong journey. Even as a child, I recall being very interested in, things like how to read tea leaves, how to read the cards, how to read palmistry, how to do palmistry, astrology. So when I went to university 30 years ago, when I found a book on how to plot your astrological chart, that really was the beginning of my real journey. I think prior to that, there was this enthusiasm, there was a kind of questioning. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? So when I actually found that book on how to plot your astrological chart, that was my first step to actually understanding who am I. So I'd say, that has been the main part of my journey, but it's also it's opened things up, because it's also opened things up to a recognition of the energies that are associated with the planets in the chart. How do these planets actually engage with one another? So when I'm actually when I'm working with my clients, I'm an astrologer, I'm an intuitive, I work with energy as well. I'm very sensitive, I'm empathic. So what happened was when I was younger and I was working with the astrology, it was purely a kind of exploration of the map. But now, the more I actually work with things, the more I recognize that actually there's so much more within it. There's different energies speaking to different parts of the chart. So when I'm working with the client, there's the intuition coming through, but I'm always working with the chart as a map. And my main focus is really to bring the client to a sense of reconnection to their story. Because most of us have that question, who am I? What am I doing here? What is my purpose?
Yeah.
So when I actually place that, or when we explore the chart, it's really a kind of gentle exploration to discover who are you. And with that, who am I, you are then able to say, I've got this skill, I've got this skill, I've got this skill. And therefore, with these skills, what can I do with my life? How can I make it more enriched? How can I feel like I'm contributing to my world, to myself, and to the people that I love around me? So that really is my main focus. Is, you know, I think my main question as a child was, who am I? What am I doing here? And that's really just allowed me to grow with the different skill sets. And, you know, people like Markus really showing me deeper aspects of energy awareness. You know, he sort of opened my eyes to light language. Although by the time I met him in April last year, I had already started speaking light language. I had not started writing light language, which we'll show later on. Markus has actually compiled a few pictures of our work. But yes, so that's basically how we work. It's a kind of exploration of self. That's how I like to see my work.
Yeah, that's nice. Exploration of the self. I like that. Interesting. Yeah, but if you are a child and you ask already, what am I doing here? Where do I come from? What's my mission? Then already you're very connected. You see, automatically, because normally we just live our lives and that's it. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you have some experiences that changed my life? That was the moment that changed my life.
Absolutely. Markus, would you like to go first?
I don't know. There's so many.
We go one.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
Well,
Don't shut you.
seeing that we're speaking about light language, the story is not completely 100% related to light language, but it does speak of faith and the power of our words and the power of what we say and think and feel. When I was 7 or so, there was one day a massive fire on the mountain. It was really, really big. It was a very hot day. It was a hot summer's day. It was just in the heat of summer, and this mountain was just blazing. I remember clearly, it was a Sunday, and we came home from church. Grew up in the Dutch Reformed Church, and came home from church and just saw this entire mountain up in a blaze. And I asked my mom, what about the poor animals, the little rabbits and the tortoises and whatever? And my mom said, well, there's nothing they can do, and hopefully they will run away, and we'll just have to wait for the fire to go. And I was like, well, can't there be rain or something that will kill the fire? My mom said, well, there's no rain in summer and all of that. And we had our lunch, and then after lunch it was just sort of customary to go take a nap on a Sunday. And I remember going to the window, and I just looked at this mountain from my bedroom window, and I decided I'm going to pray. I don't know who I'm praying to, because I never was really big on religion or anything. And I just sent out my intent and my wishes for rain to kill the fire.
Okay.
And I can't remember the words I used or whatever, but I focused very intently on the mountain and on what my wishes were, that the fire would be put out. And when I was done, I went and took a nap, and I woke up with an almighty roar of rain. I don't know how much later it was, and it was pouring down. The sky just covered up completely, and it was pouring with rain, and the fire was actually put out. So it was just, for me, that was just the power of prayer, or the power of intent, the power of your, like, dropping into your heart and speaking what it is that you need and desire from the heart space. And I think ultimately what light language is, it's about dropping into the heart and speaking from the heart, so that we can bring more information and more energy than we could do with normal speech, like normal human speech. So even though it's not directly related to light language, it does help to maybe draw that picture of how we can drop into the heart and really just feel what it is that we're wanting to manifest and bring into our lives, and pull that through.
Yeah, that's a nice story. Really, that's really sweet. But in fact, we all have the power. Everybody has the power.
Yes, we all have it.
We all have it. The thing is, we just didn't learn to use it. They did everything just contrary, that we don't. That we don't.
Also, I mean, if people say to you, well, it can't be done, it can't be done, it can't be done. What most people do is they'll back down and say, well, it can't be done. And the way that I am, if someone says it can't be done, I go, I will find a way to make it do happen. So I think that you have the capacity, if you believe that you can do something, that you can, then you can do it. Yeah.
In fact, I think it's not that I think, I know that we have so much power, but much more than we even believe that we have.
A lot more.
And if people would realize what power that we have, the world would be automatically total different, you know, because with the manipulations and all the conspiration and everything, it makes it all difficult.
Absolutely.
And the culture and the social, everything what we learned, you know, it dropped all these believings now. And they gave those other believings, other things that we have to believe, that we have to do, that we have to achieve. And they're not even important for our lives. But anyway, that's where we are. And Walter, what are you gonna say?
Oh my goodness!
Like we are ready to talk.
No, like Marcus, there's so many stories. There's so many experiences.
Tell me one of the most impactful.
I'll bring myself to a memory. Literally, it's an experience about 3 weeks ago. Someone very close to me, a family member, got in touch with me stating that she had misplaced a very precious gift. And the person who had given it to her was asking her to take it forward, to actually show him this gift, effectively, to actually see that she still had it. So she got in touch with me. It was about 10 o'clock at night. And she effectively said, I'm not going to suggest by actually using the words. She said basically, I know you've actually done this before. Can you please help me find this thing? So I said to her, so I checked in on my guides, and my guide said, just send her the healing. We do a pendulum healing. So we use a pendulum to do the healing.
Okay.
So I'm saying to her, I say, just go to sleep. I'm sending you healing. And in the morning, it will be okay. And she says, no, that's not possible. I need to search for it now, because if I can't find it, this person who's asking will be very angry. I said, just trust. My team have said it will be fine. So she says, are you sure? By the time that, so effectively we're talking about 6 hours time from now, are you telling me I'm going to find it? I said, my team says, when you wake up, you will find it. So she says, okay, I'll do that. So she went to bed.
You will remember, no?
Well, not quite. So I did the work. I did the work. I did the transmission. And again, it's important to actually do the work from the heart, because that's how the healing really begins. So I'm doing the work, and there's a part of me thinking, oh my goodness, if she doesn't find it, she'll be so disappointed. But I get told, stop worrying about it, just let it go. So I can just do the work. And in the morning, I get this text message, and it was literally 6:35. I haven't found it. What am I going to do? 15 minutes later, oh my God, I have found it. Oh my God, I have found it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. End of. So, you know, I think it's moments like that where you really have to step away from what you think is possible and actually just be true to your processes, just be true to your modalities, whatever your modality may be, if it's EFT, light language, Reiki, whatever it may be. It's really coming home to the heart and allowing that modality to do the work for you. Allow the fears to step away, and then to be empowered, to bring empowerment to your world through your tools. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite, most recent memories.
The most recent one. That's fantastic. Yeah. And it's just trust. It's what you say. Go away from that space and then You know, yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah. Um, do you have another one? Another one, Marcus? You need to do 2 experiences. Yeah.
Another way of putting it. It's
Marcus,
trying to find the ones. Well, a while back, Walter and myself were experimenting with light language and light technology because we've been working with writing and doing art and things like that, and we decided to experiment with using light technology as a form of healing. And so we actually got a few people together who had specific illnesses and conditions and so on. And we asked them to send photos through, and we would write on the photographs. And while we were busy with this, I had a friend who had some severe backache. In fact, her spine almost like sort of not folded, but her spine was completely out of alignment, and she was in a lot of pain. And that while I was busy with all of the other clients, I said to her, well, just send me a photo through and I'll just quickly do your light language based on that. She sent the photo through, and I sat down with a photograph and I started writing the light codes on the photograph.
Mhm.
And so it takes a little while to do that. You channel through the information and so on. And then when I'm done, then I send the photograph back to her. But what happened was, before I could send her the photograph, she sent me a message. She said, oh my word, something's happening. I'm feeling something. I'm feeling like she could actually feel her spine straightening out and the pain disappearing. And the thing is that I haven't even sent her the photograph yet. I was still busy writing it. I was just about to finish the writing when she sent me that message, and so that was quite a good experiment and a good feedback because
Wow, that's
because
fantastic.
the way I sort of saw it, well, sort of like I'm writing it and I'm sending it to the client, and now they need to focus on it, and when they focus on it, then it happens. But what I realized in that moment was that it actually happens real time. So as soon as we write, before the client even has the photograph, it already happens. And we don't always know how the body is going to interpret that or work with it, because with a group of people that we worked with, some of the people had immediate responses and other people had a slow, gradual response after the session. But it was really nice to do the experiments and to get the feedback from the people, what they felt. And a lot of the people actually felt things before we actually sent them the photograph, which was really amazing. It was nice to really work with that.
Wow, that's really amazing. Yeah, that's interesting. But I think when it's not your moment and you need to learn something about your disease, you know, because
Usually
lots of people have
there's usually
diseases,
some learning, yeah.
a lot of times we try to cure the people, but then the soul knows we can't cure at the moment because that person, he or she, needs to go through that process, you know, and then you can do whatever you want to cure, but then the soul is not going to accept it. So that person is not going
Right.
to cure until they learn their experiences
That's the
through
beauty of the
their.
light technology, because what happens with the light technology and light codes, when the person views it, their higher self will orchestrate how the energy is being directed so that whatever they need to learn actually comes to the surface so that they can see what it is. So
Ah,
the shift and the healing is actually a lot faster. But it is, like you say, healing can only take place when the person's ready. With the light technology, what it does is it puts a spotlight on what needs to be healed and what needs to be addressed. And that goes for any healing modality, whether it's crystal healing or kinesiology or whatever. What we do is we're actually highlighting or putting a spotlight on the issues that needs to be addressed. But yeah, light language and light technology is a very quick way to do that as well. Because we're working with light, it shines a light on exactly what needs to be worked with. And the thing is that your higher self will know what's best for you and how to actually address that and open up the pathways for you.
yeah. Wow. That's
I
fantastic.
agree.
We're going to talk about the light language.
We
And
will.
now, Walter, another fantastic experience.
I have to say, I agree with Marcus with regards to the healing. You know, I think with the whole light language process, it does bring, you know, it's a whole package. It's not just fix this. Just like with the pendulum healing, there is a protocol that says raise the consciousness of the individual that we're working with, so that anything that is within them that they're holding onto the issue. Because remember that sometimes people have illnesses not because it's just because there is a learning to be had. Sometimes there's also a kind of, they connect with it because it gives them meaning. So when you do the healing, you also release the connection that says, I am this, I have value because I am going through this journey. You know, I remember there's this beautiful book, I think it's to do with moving into the 5D. And the question that was actually mentioned was, does this have to hurt? Do we have to actually hurt? Or can we actually say, I am willing to open myself up to the necessary levels of consciousness to then allow me to step into what my soul has come with agreement into this life? Mm. You know, so that therefore you can actually fast track your progress. Mm. And I think with all the healing modalities, it really, it's a multi-layered process. And, you know, in terms of like an experience, as Markus has actually just mentioned about the experiment, I was running a few of my own personal experiments with the light codes as well, because I was trying to create a deck of manifestation. That's what they gave me, to create a deck of manifestation. So what I did was I actually put a call out on Facebook for people to give me 2 sets of numbers. And based on those numbers, I would then channel through, because they don't tell me what they wanted. I just said, think of the number, think of what you are wanting to manifest in your life. It could be to do with health, it could be to do with a circumstance, it could be to do with, you know, finding a relationship, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And I said, I need you to give me a sequence of numbers. The first set is between 1 and 12, and the second set is between 1 and 10. So people kept sending me stuff. I then channeled through these images, and I gifted these images to these people. But the only thing I asked of them was to give me feedback when they actually saw progress. One of the things that, one of the persons that I worked with, I had not known this, but she was seeking to manifest a twin flame. And effectively, I drew the chart with, I drew the image with these, you know, there were hearts in it and stuff. I didn't know why I was putting hearts in there, but I was just doing the image. 6 months down the line, she was happily attached. So I'm thinking, you know, that sometimes when we put too much emphasis into an outcome, we can almost wait for the outcome to actually, or the result to show themselves. What I did was I basically gave it out, and I said, when you've got a result, just come back to me and tell me it's happened. And, you know, I think, again, working with magic and stuff, they always talk about letting go of expectation. Once you've actually set the intention, you put it out to the universe, and then you let go and carry on with your life.
Yeah, so I think this is really the secret. It's just let it go and give you over, and that say no expectations against anything, and then
I'm being guided to actually share one piece of guidance, one piece of channeling that came through last week. If you are happy. And I think it has very much to do with what you've just mentioned about the manifestation. And it goes like this. Go back to your past and put to rest all that is in your past and come back to the present. Go to your future and to all your hopes and dreams. Peg them in the future, but come back to the present and live fully in the now. Your heart will guide you to your dreams. That's it.
Lovely, fantastic. That's a channeling that you received?
Yes, so basically it's telling us to actually really, you know, so many people, like when I was saying about the healing journey, sometimes we don't heal because we have all those attachments in the past. Well, I deserve that because I was a bad person. I deserve that because I wasn't really good. I didn't try hard enough. You'll find that all your regrets are actually plonked in your past. All your regrets, all your your resentments, all the bits that says I'm not worthy, is all in the past.
Of course, because it's what people learned before. What comes, they don't know what comes in the future.
But we are now in a phase where the energies are rising that says, actually, the only person that is holding you back from the wholeness of your heart is you. So it's time to actually go back and revisit all those regrets and actually say, I'm really sorry I did that, but it's time for me to move on. Put it to rest. I'm really sorry I did that. Put it on. Put it to rest. Put it to rest. Put it to rest, so that you can really be here. And all your dreams, because when you have something holding you back, you think you can't have that dream because you're not worthy. But once you clear that, you begin the first part of actually making that energetic line possible. But so often we become so hooked on this line that we don't see the other opportunities that are also there in the future. So it's saying, go to the future and put a loving peg that says, you are of importance, you are of importance, you are of importance. But then you come home to you in the now, because then your energetic lines are already connected to those bits. But your heart will guide you in the moment, and it will take you to manifest in accordance with your highest vision, Okay, and again, as soon as I actually say that, I actually sense that there is almost like, yeah, but what if my higher aspect is going to want to teach me something bad? The only reason you think your higher self wants to teach you something bad is because you feel you deserve something bad. So again, that would imply that there's something holding you back that says, I deserve something bad. It's time to cut that off, let it rest, and actually move forward with the navigation of your heart.
It really is a navigation system. It's like a GPS.
Yeah.
So that when you put your peg into the future, it's like dropping a pin and saying, this is where I want to go. And your heart is the GPS. It says, turn left now, turn right now, go straight for 3 kilometers or whatever. So that's why we need to be in the present so that we can hear what the heart is saying. Otherwise, if you're listening to other things, you're going to miss the GPS and you're going to go off in the wrong direction.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's, you see, the thing is, it's difficult to know when. It's exactly what he says, because it's very unconscious. It's not conscious that people are so attached to their past and to all these bad experience or good experience or whatever, you know.
That's where the treatments come in. So if you're working with a kinesiologist or a practitioner of any sort, they have the ability, they've trained to pinpoint and find and to recognize those little glitches, recognize the emotions that holds you back, so that they can bring it to the surface and say, did you realize that you just said that, or that you just said that? I get that all the time with my clients, where clients will say something and I would just highlight one of the words in the sentence and they go, oh, did I use that word? And then they carry on speaking, they go, and they highlight the word again. They go, did I just say the word again? And then there's a certain word that they keep using all the time and they don't realize they're using it. And so what I sometimes do is every time they say the word, I'll just repeat the word after them again. And they become so conscious of that one word that they use that they then realize, wait a minute, this is a trigger that hooks me back into that. And they then get to a point where they can recognize for themselves when they get hooked on that word. And then they can actually change their story. So what we do as practitioners and as healers, I don't like to call myself a healer, I'm a facilitator. I hold the space. What we do as facilitators is we highlighting things for people. We're putting the spotlight on something so that they can become aware of it, so that they can actually heal and they can bring healing to themselves. So I'm not the one doing the healing. The person lying on the therapy bed is the one doing the healing, or these days the one sitting on the other side of the screen, because everything's done over Zoom these days.
Yeah. Everything goes
so
on.
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
About awareness.
Yeah. It's fantastic, but that's it's really beautiful how you say that. Put a highlight on the most important things what they do, like to make them conscious from what they're doing, a word or movement. Can you tell me a little bit more about the light work? Because there's light codes, light language, and light technology. Wow. What's the difference and how do you use it?
Okay, right, so with light language, it is, for me, when it came back to me, Light language, as my team, as I call them, or my guides, kept saying, find the language of your heart, and all the pieces of your spirit and your soul shall return to you. So when that message first came to me, I thought that they were talking about some kind of commercial song, some kind of commercial pop that I could actually feel like, you know, I guess a kind of romantic reminiscing of the good old days.
Yeah.
It wasn't. January 2019, I remembered I used to speak in a funny language, a foreign language. It was not a language I knew of. I would speak, but always in secret. I'd always speak it when no one was around, until I got caught one day and I stopped so well. I made a promise that I wouldn't get caught. I made that promise so well that I completely forgot for the rest of that time until last year.
Wow.
And then last year, I sort of remembered there was this language. And so in the privacy of my bedroom, I began speaking it. I began slowly speaking it. And I found that my light language was effectively initially just vocal. But through engaging with Markus and his method of actually communicating the message of the heart, I found that they were things like you can actually speak with your hands, where you are speaking the codes with your hands, or you can actually then do it with written language. So for me, light language is almost like the umbrella. The codes are the different pieces of information that are being transmitted through the language. Okay. The technology is something very recent, where my team kept saying, stop using the word light language and consider light technology, because what you and all others who are consciously, with intention, using light language, what you are doing is you are creating, facilitating change in your environment, because you are encoding the system with new levels of light.
Okay.
New levels of light equals new levels of frequency. New levels of frequency equals new levels of expression. So what they're saying is, when people come into the modality of light, language, codes, or technology, once they are using the language with a desired intention, they are actually using it as a technology, because it's facilitating a shift in the consciousness of not just the person, but the people that they are sharing the codes with. That's my definition of the three. Markus?
Yeah, similar. I see light technology more as the umbrella, and light codes, light language, and things like that, I see as the different components within all of that. I mean, if you're going to go into the technical terms, then you've got glossolalia, which is the act of speaking in tongues. That would be light language. But then we also have xenoglossia, which is where people speak a language, and when you run it through something like a Google Translate, you actually find that they're speaking a foreign language that exists, but that they have no knowledge of, something that they didn't learn or study. So there are people who's actually speaking existing languages, or even extinct languages like Sumerian and ancient Egyptian and Mayan, but then they obviously haven't studied it. And then you have people who speak light language, which could be either of galactic origin, or it could be something that's from an angelic origin, or from your higher self or so. But I think for just the whole like light technology, whether it's light codes, light art, light language, or whatever you want to call it, it is just a means of communicating on a much deeper level. We're communicating from the heart, so we're not limited by the sort of the agreed upon meanings of words that we have within the human languages. They're all agreed upon. We all agree that this word means that. In light language, you could use one word over and over and over, and each time it could mean something different, because it depends on what's happening in the heart space. Yeah. And so we're actually doing a transmission or transmission from the heart when we speak or sign or write or draw or sing or dance or whatever form of light technology that you do, because it takes any and all forms. And so a lot of times people will ask me, what's the translation of this? and there is no real translation, because every time you're going to look at it or every time you're going to listen to it, there's going to be another translation based on what you need to receive right in this very minute, because your higher self is going to choose and decide what needs to be released to you and which sort of layer of the onion needs to be peeled towards your healing. So for me, I see light technology as sort of the umbrella, and then light language, light signing, light codes, and all of those things as the sort of the subcategories within all of that. So I guess it's the same thing you said, Walter, or not?
Yeah, definitely. It's fantastic. I love everything with the light, and you said also light art. It's really light art.
Yes, yes.
It's beautiful. Light art is everything, the technology, the codes, and the language. Now it's all in there now, because it's really an art. Yes, I can imagine that we can't understand. It's not important because it comes from your higher self. So on the end, it's not important, because
it's important to feel it, though.
the feeling is important, and what happens with that language. How I've got two different questions that can be interesting for the listeners. And one is, can everybody, do you learn it or do you have it? Do you have it inside, and one moment it's active in your life, in your journey? Or can you learn, can everybody just take classes and learn it? And do you guys teach it?
Yes, we teach it, and anybody can do it, and you don't necessarily need classes to do it. So I think what happens for most people is when they start, I think the biggest stumbling block is they question. They go, oh, I'm just making this up, or this doesn't sound right. But I mean, who is to say whether it sounds right or not? It's not about what it sounds like. I have seen some people who literally just go tick, 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 and there's actually, when you feel into it, there's actually a lot that happens, even though it's just one sound that's being repeated. And it's not really about the sound that's being repeated, it's about the transmission from the heart. So everybody can drop into the heart, and everybody can transmit what they feel in the heart, and that could be transmitted whether it's through art or writing or singing or dancing or signing or whatever. I think what the workshops do is to help people, show them the different sort of varieties within light technology, and also to help them gain confidence with it. But anybody and everybody can do it.
Everybody can do it. No?
So you want to say anything?
Absolutely, I agree with you. You know, I think one of the biggest challenges that we as a society are facing right now with the changing energies, the rising energies.
This I wanted to ask you afterwards.
Yeah, the Schumann frequencies are rising on a daily basis.
Exactly.
And if we think of that as a kind of catalyst, a lot of stuff that we have through generations, through experiences, whatever, have actually kept almost secure within the body, have begun to shake. So every time we actually have a spike in the Schumann or spike in, like energies coming in, like all the healing modalities, what we do really is we actually hold space, bring in energy so that what is on this level can then rise to a new level. What then happens, it can then get moved off so that a new level of expression can come into form. So what we're having with a lot of these Schumann spikes and everything is a lot of emotional drama, trauma, issues that we have actually, through the past, through kind of societal expectations and learned behavior, have kept all within. And what's happened is a lot of people actually keep everything to the point where it's just around here. So when I say everyone can, or when Markus he says everyone can learn it, absolutely, everyone can learn it. But the most important thing is we need to almost flush the system so we gain access to this part here, the heart chakra. Mm-hmm. Because as long as we actually have all this here, then the only space that we can actually move in is here. And what happens here? Why this? Why that? Are you sure I'm correct? Are you sure this is actually true? Oh my goodness. I don't know if people can accept this information. I don't know anything. So all that information is stuck. But once we flush and we create an open pathway, which is why I think a lot of energy clearing, chakra clearing, body work actually creates the perfect biocircuitry. It re-enhances, reconnects the biocircuitry so that the energies can actually flow. And so once the energy flows, you never ask an artist who is so proficient in their caliber, are you sure that that line, that pink line should be there? Are you sure that actually means anything? They don't. They are so connected. I know what my vision is. I know what my vision is. I know what I'm trying to express. I know what my passion is. I know my will. I know my creativity. All that is so beautifully aligned. I'm not saying every artist is beautifully aligned, but when they get into the zone, this is actually aligned.
Mm-hmm.
And they can then start doing anything, and it becomes an expression of the whole.
Yeah.
As I said, find the language of the song of your heart, and all the parts will come home to you. And so if we think by actually becoming aligned with the heart, this connection is complete. Therefore, all the parts are expressing itself fully,
Okay.
with no apology, but with love. It's expressing with love, but it's expressing with no apology. And I think this is what is the biggest challenge, but also the invitation that our society is actually being forced to do. You know, it's a lot of people are triggered with the circumstances that's going on, but because they are also being rocked. When they actually finally come to be present, that same trigger is giving them the opportunity to open this and flush. They just need to learn how to actually be still and flush.
Flush.
Once we do that, you are on the journey. We are all on the journey, by the way. We are all on the journey.
We all on the journey, definitely. Yes, guys.
We're
That's true.
all on the roller coaster.
And we have to learn so many things and flush a lot of things.
You know what? We actually don't have anything to learn. We've already learned everything up in the soul plane. Soul plane was like the university where we learned all the theory. We're coming here to get the experience. So there's no learning that we have to do here. Here it's about gaining the experience. It's like going to university for years and studying, doing all the theory, and then going out into the world, and now you have to get experience. And this is why we're here. We're here for the experience. Actually, there's no learning to be done.
Yeah, but that's part of the journey, you see.
Oh.
It's part of just the walking go through, and you have this and this and this and you know how it goes. But I mean, it's really, yeah, it's really good explained. But that's and do you guys feel a big difference now that the frequencies are so high now? Because they're always coming up since I think in 2012 we were about 7.5, and then we are on 30 already.
2007 we started with the frequency started raising up quite.
Raising from 12 until to now in 8 years.
It's been coming for a long time, but it was quite noticeable from 2007 onwards.
Ah, 7 already.
Mm.
Yeah. And do you guys feel that in the way that you work? Do you receive the information much faster, much clearer? Where does it make a difference? But of course, you guys grow also through the working process. Also, that's
everything's more connected and switched on. It's like it's almost like the curtains are being opened up, and the sun's shining through. So every time, every day is different, and sort of it becomes clearer and clearer and clearer every day.
And it's everything more clear. That is really what everybody should do, really clear themselves to go forward. As long as we don't clear ourselves, we can't go forwards, because it's like they always say about the famous glass who's full of water. You can't put anything else in there if it's full. So it's so logical, really. If you think, everything's really logical. They made it so easy for us to live these experiences, and the only thing we do is make it difficult. That's how I see it. I mean, we always make it difficult when things are so easy, so beautiful, so to live this experience in this life, isn't it?
Yes, totally. I think with the whole spikes, they are good days and they are bad days. You know, just because we are on this journey does not make us above it. We are we're going through it as well. And I think You know, it gives us a lot of experience. It also gives us a lot of real life hands-on experience to actually work through the energies and what actually works, so that we can then convey that same information, that wisdom, that learned wisdom, to others. You know, I shared something just a few days ago on Insta and also on Facebook, where effectively the spike had gone. I think it's been like 3 days in a row. It's gone spike, spike, spike. So I said, you know, it's crucial to actually maintain, stay hydrated, get grounded as best as you can, and, you know, breathe. Most people forget that whenever we actually are challenged with something that freaks us out or takes us back into the past, we actually go into staggered breathing. So, you know, where you said earlier, oh, but you were so unconscious of when we are actually going back there and we are not actually connected to the present. Check your breathing. If you're going, you're not here. You'll find that if you actually maintain conscious breathing, as in mindful, sustained breathing, you can't go anywhere but be here. Try it. It's like the moment you think of something in the past, your rhythm changes and you're back somewhere else. So the thing is, stay grounded, eat lots of living food, less processed, more living. So lots of greens, lots of healthy, vibrant foods. This will, as the energies change as well, you'll find that a lot of people become more sensitive, where they can actually feel things, because we are, whether we are consciously working to clear those energies from our system, our circuits are becoming more clear. And therefore, there's almost like a knowing. Is this good for me right now? No. Is this good for me? Yes. Okay, go for it. And even comparing two of the same, you may find that one actually feels more living than another. Learn to trust that gut instinct, because that really enhances the circuitry. Drink lots of fluids, stay grounded, and breathe. Mindful breathing is the way forward.
Very interesting. It's true, because everything blocks. Your ID blocks and your respiration blocks. It's the same. And the more people are anxious, the more they breathe short.
Exactly.
And then afterwards you get the hyperventilation and all these problems but it all comes from not being here. And it's really fantastic what you say, and it's a very good idea that you give to the listeners to do. So every time when you go, just come back and be conscious of your breathing. Yeah, that's really very interesting. Very interesting, because it's bringing this awareness here, bringing this consciousness that you are in this body, and this is your vehicle for this X time you are here on Earth. You know, it will stay here. That's the physical. It's like your container that we have here, and then afterwards, boop, your soul goes, and he goes and look for something else, to another planet, with other guys, with other girls, with other cars, with other houses, other family, other ninjas. It will be fantastic. It's all experiences. We just all experience of our soul. It's fantastic, you know. It's really marvelous. Do you have a special message for the listeners?
Markus.
Breathing.
Markus. Walter, he
breathe.
left already a very interesting one.
Yes, no, I fully agree with that. It is just about breathing and being present. A message. I think at this time, with everything happening in the world, everybody's there's a lot of things happening, and people are getting pulled in so many different directions. Watching this YouTube and that YouTube and this one and that one and this one saying that and that one saying that, and I think people are being pulled in all different directions. And recently I got a message from a friend of mine who had posted. She sent me a video clip, some YouTube clip, and she was like coming back with all these questions around the thing, and I had to go look at the clip to see what it was all about. And while I was looking at that, I got an image of spy versus spy. I don't know if you remember those cartoons from the 90s, the white spy and the black spy.
Yeah.
And they blow each other up, and then this one shoots that one, and then so they're constantly at each other, and they're both sort of sabotaging each other, and they're both trying to get to the secret files, but they're both sabotaging each other. So it's a constant battle of sabotaging and trying to hide and sneak around to get to the secret files and then to run off with it. And I feel that where we are right now in life is very much like that spy versus spy, where it doesn't matter whether you're rooting for the black spy or the white spy. Ultimately it's the same side or different sides of the same coin. And what it does is it keeps us in polarity. It keeps us in good or bad, good versus evil, light versus dark. It keeps us in polarity, and polarity is something that is 3D. We're trying to get to 5D. 5D doesn't have polarities. And so we need to step out of this spy versus spy story. We need to step out of this sort of like feeling good when evil loses, or feeling bad when good loses. We mustn't really invest in good and bad anymore. Almost, we need to find a way to step out of that, step back from it, and say, okay, there's a spy versus spy story happening over there. I'm going to get myself to 0 point. I'm not going to be saying yay or boo for any of the two of them. I'm just going to actually step back and observe and just see what's happening. So I think that if you can step back, if you can pull yourself towards yourself, focus on breathing, realize that we are all here because we have a very specific energy frequency, and we're all in a specific place on the planet right now in order to keep a very specific frequency where we need to be, and that everything is as it should be. And do not feed into the fears, and do not feed into the hate speech, and into do this and do that and don't do that and don't do that, and just step back into your own truth and into your heart. I think that's very, very important right now. We need to be able to drop back into 0 point. We need to drop back into the heart, where if you just sit and breathe, there is no such thing as good or bad or evil or light or dark. Because we're wanting to move into 5D. We're not going to do that by picking a polarity or picking a side. It's not going to be good for your health either.
No, it's not good, no.
Unity
well, that is fantastic. Yeah, tell me, Walter, what did you want to say?
No, it's unity consciousness, effectively.
We're all the same. We're all one.
Yeah. It's, you know, for those who are interested, on my Facebook page, there was a light code that has a kind of, that looks like a muscle. And it basically is the unity consciousness sigil. And effectively, the message, the channel piece was, when something splits into good and bad,
Wow.
it is still a state of polarity. Remember that the journey back to unity is a step above that splitting. So it's not about finding who is right, who is wrong. It's about holding the space of heart, being so courageously present in the moment with heart that we are effectively creating ripples through the system to bring the different pieces back together again.
That is really beautiful.
So, yeah.
Did you design that one? Did you design it?
No, they gave it to me.
No, I know. You see it. It's like you see it and then you design it. No, you put it on there in physical. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Markus has got loads as well. He creates some amazingly powerful pieces of light codes and technology. Markus, you want to show one very quickly?
Yes, show.
See, well, here's one that we did as a collaboration. So I did the silver writing and Walter did the gold writing.
Okay.
That's a twin flame activation to call the twin flame into being.
Yeah.
Markus, show one that's yours primarily, just
Well, here's one that was requested by some of my clients. They wanted something for healthy teeth. So I channeled through this one for people working with their teeth. So you can go quite physical.
Wow, that's interesting. Also, I never heard about people working with the teeth, and it's so important.
Each tooth relates to a meridian, which relates to organs in the body. So you've got like reflexology for the teeth.
Reflexology for teeth. Wow.
Yeah, I've got one for cleansing and clearing crystals. So crystals and gemstones, this actually comes as a plate, and you can place your crystals and gemstones on that and have them cleared.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what does each of them? What does it mean?
I mean, there's a huge amount of information in here. Like even if you zoom in right close, the circuitry in there is actually writing. There's information in the circuitry. And then you've got the actual writing around the sides as well. So there's some sacred geometry in here. There's circuitry, there's writing. So there's a huge amount of information that's sitting in that.
Wow, that is amazing. I love all this. Wow.
Yeah,
I love it. This is so beautiful.
Quite complex like that, or you could even go something as simple as this.
Yeah, that is the Dragon Breath sigil. It's used to help support the transmutation of difficult energies that you are perceiving in your reality. And the channeled message that came with that is keep your breath steady, keep your breath mindful, and allow your breath to be filled with love. So it's three main things: steady, mindful, and infused with compassion and love. And when you can actually do that in the present, you are going to be so powerful in your function to help create changes in your reality.
Wow. That is wow. What? Beautiful.
One more. This was for Dolphin Energy that I did. This is what I brought through. And that you could use it either as a way to connect and communicate with dolphins, or to send healing to dolphins, or to receive their healing. So the codes here are very different. So each time codes come through, they look different. So this particular one, the codes look like that. Normally my codes are a lot more spirally and sort of circly and things like that. This one's not a clear one, you can't see. So normally my writing would look more like that.
More circly or less circly?
This is more like my normal writing, but
okay.
This one was channeled through, the writing came through quite sort of elongated and strange. So depending
every little sign is a word, or not a meaning, or not a story.
It's like a story. Each little one is a story. Yeah.
Each one is a story. Oh, that's so beautiful.
So depending on this is one that Walter did. So each sigil or symbol has a lot of meaning, a lot of information.
Yeah. Each of those effectively is a kind of a signal. Each of those is a signal, so they're each sort of transmitting a specific intention, but the overall intention here is the bringing together of the soul and the spirit, so that there's greater unity between the higher expression of the higher mission and the accommodation of the individual towards that higher mission. I mean, you could go into massive talks about each of these channel pieces, but this particular one that you're looking at is effectively to help bring a healthy collaboration between your soul and your spirit in this lifetime.
Wow. I love all this. I really love it. It's very interesting. I love it. Really, honestly. It's fantastic. It's amazing. For me, it's amazing. It's gorgeous. You know, all these connections that we have, and that we can just talk with them. It doesn't matter how it comes down, through a painting, through a code. through a language, I mean, it's just beautiful. It's really amazing what you do. It was such a pleasure to receive your valuable information and share this moment with you. And I always move my head because it's really funny, because if I see the videos that I always do yes and yes and yes, it's so funny, but that's me, you know.
I'm always swinging on my chair. I've got a wheelie chair, so I'm always sitting like that.
You are sitting like this? Yeah,
I'm always swiveling on the chair, yeah. I've got a wheelie chair that swivels.
But it's just so fantastic. I think it's so amazing that everybody's so different. It makes it so interesting to live this life with the people and here. You know, it's so interesting. Yeah. Guys, where can the people contact you? I'm going to leave it under the video, but just say it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can actually get in touch with me. My website is called Rainbow Path to Wholeness, and that will actually, you know, start the ball rolling. So if there's anything that we've done today that has been of interest, get in touch. There's some contact details there as well.
My side, I've got a website for the light codes. I've got a website called starseed-lightcodes.com. So that's where, if you wanted to find out more about the light codes. I'm also on Instagram, so that's starseed.lightcodes. That's also on Facebook, the same. And then for my healing work, I've got a website called healthychoice.co.za. I've got a number of pages for a number of things. So I think all of that will just be in the comments below, in the bottom of the video.
Yeah. So now you know, guys, just leave. If you like the video, you know, share and like and fantastic and whatever. And leave your comment. Thank you, guys. It was really lovely.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I sent loads of lights for everybody and everybody. Bye.
Bye.